Hey friend, welcome back to the channel. If you're new, my name is Megan from Grey Arrow Tarot. I am a certified transformational tarot coach and intuitive tarot reader. And today we are going to look at your path to your creative power. I'm really excited to see where this one goes. This is the next video in a series I've been doing about your path to the good things in life. So we have a video on your path to true abundance and your path to happiness and joy. I think there's your path to true love. There's a few other ones in there. I will link the playlist below if I remember. But yeah, today we're going to look at your path to your true creative power. And I'm really excited for this one. I say this all the time when we talk about creativity. I'm going to say it again in this video, and that's that creativity is not just artistic creativity, and so therefore your creative power does not have to be just artistic. Of course, when we talk about creativity, we are always talking about the artists and the writers and the musicians and everybody who has that type of more artistic creativity. But it can also be anybody who's a creator. If you are building a business, you are creating something. If you are an engineer, you are creating something. There's lots of ways that we can use creativity and we can harness our creative power. I wouldn't be surprised though if a lot of people who clicked on this are kind of coming into it with the more artistic slant to it. So I'm guessing these readings probably might sound a little bit artistic, but I just want you to know from the start, you have creative power no matter if you consider yourself to be artistic or not. And this reading's purpose is to show you your path to truly harnessing that power. Okay? So when you're ready, we can go ahead and you can pick your group. This is going to be pile number 1. This is pile number 2. This is pile number 3. And this is pile number 4. You cannot choose wrong. Any pile that's speaking to you has at least one message for you. And if you are being drawn to multiple groups, that just means that there are messages for you in multiple piles, and you should feel free to listen to as many as you are called to. But as always, keep in mind that this is just a general reading. So every message that is shared today, that is shared in the group that you choose, may not resonate with you. Take what resonates and leave the rest for who it's meant for. If you would like to sit with the cards for a little bit longer, you can go ahead and pause the video here. Otherwise, when you're ready, you will find the timestamps in the description box below, and I'll see you at your reading. Hey, pile number 1, welcome to your reading. Let's take a look at your path to your creative power. What is pile number 1's path to their creative power? All right, we've got 3 that flipped over. Let's see if we can get you one more. We've got 2 more. All right, we will take them because I guess they both really wanted to be here. And let's take a look at what we have for you. Ooh, starting off strong with the 9 of Cups. Always love to see that. Followed by the Daughter of Cups. Followed by I think it's the 6. Yeah, the 6 of Wands reverse. I always need to turn around for the Roman numerals to get the reversals. Followed by the Son of Cups and the 10 of Wands. So yeah, if there was any doubt that this is a creative reading, that doubt is completely erased in my mind, because anytime that we have Cups and Wands coming up, that to me is like inherently creative power. Because to me, Cups speak to emotions, and there's an element of creativity in that. And also Wands speak to passion and fire, and there's an element of creativity in that. So to get in, when those cards show up individually, I'm already kind of thinking maybe a little creativity is involved. But when you get them both coming up in a reading, this is big creative power. It just is. So I do feel like for a lot of you who chose this group, you are very in touch with your creativity already. I feel like this is probably the group that might want to, or this could also show up in other groups too, but I feel like this group in particular, you might want to really either make a living with your creativity or just spend more time doing your creative expression, your form of creativity, we'll say. But I also think it's really interesting that all of your cards are upright, which really leads me into thinking like you are meant to share your creative talents with the world. Because the upright cards to me are externalized energy. So in most cases, so it's about you like using your gifts and talents in the world compared to internalizing energy, which is more like it might just be for yourself or your community or a smaller circle. But the fact that most of your reading is upright, I really feel like you are meant to, part of how you harness your creative power is by sharing your creation. Like, it's about putting yourself out there. It's about letting yourself be seen. I feel like there might be some work around that needs to happen for you to really harness this power, which we'll get into once we get into the cards a little bit more specifically. But you are a creative powerhouse. Know that from the start, is that you are a creative powerhouse. So let's get into things. First up here with this Nine of Cups, one way for you, one key aspect to harnessing your creative power is you have to get clear on what you want and not be afraid to go after it. I think sometimes, especially if you are somebody who is like, excuse me, I'm getting tongue-tied. If you are reaching for some kind of artistic, creative profession, those can be very challenging to break into. Like, that's what everybody says, right? It's very hard to break into. So you might kind of find yourself wanting to like level set your own expectations. And it's fine not to put too much pressure on yourself or pressure on an outcome. Like, a healthy amount of detachment is good. But for you, I feel like you need to be comfortable saying that you want the big thing, saying that you want to put yourself out there, saying that you want to be seen, that you want, you know, like if you're a writer, that you want your work to be published and read, that you want to have readership. If you're an artist, that you want to have your art displayed or purchased in some fashion, like have a creative art business, whatever it is. Like, I feel like you might want something big out of your creative expression, out of your work. And there might be a part of you that's afraid to really put that out there or to own that fully, because you might be a little afraid of being disappointed. Or afraid of it not working out, or like limiting beliefs around it, where people have said, you know, it's so hard to break into, that's such a long shot, all of this kind of stuff. But what I'm getting for this is, you know, number one, someone has to be the next star. Like, not even star if that's not what you want, but someone has to be the next one to break through. Someone has to be the next one to be seen. Someone has to be the next one to be the new person that people love their creative work. Someone's got to be next. Why not you? Like that really is coming through strong of why not you. And the other thing is, like, you have to be willing to own it. And how important that is you have to be willing to own what you want, because that's what's going to start putting you in an energetic alignment with this. That's what's going to start allowing you to take purposeful, inspired action when you are very clear on what you want and what your goal is. The one thing I would say, especially if if that feels like a stretch for you, don't put yourself on a timeline. There's no clock here. You know, things will happen when they're meant to in their own way. But if this is what you want, don't be afraid to go for it. Don't be afraid to claim that. And don't be afraid to really go after it and be committed to taking as long as it takes to make that happen. And now with the Daughter of Cups. So the Daughter of Cups is the Page of Cups in this deck. So this is like the beginning of a journey. As I feel like there is really something that I think is calling to you. For some of you, like, I am kind of getting writing coming through. Like, it's like a new book idea. It's a new story idea. It's something that's like bubbling up. It's something that's emerging. For others of you, this could be like, this is something that has newly sparked your creativity. It's a new form of expression that's taken root in you that you want to explore. And it doesn't even have to be necessarily writing. That's just what was coming through the strongest. But it could also be, it's whatever you're into. But I feel like there's something new about this. There's a new idea. There's a new spark of inspiration there. And I feel like there's something about this new project that's coming in for you that, if you will allow it, could be the thing that helps you break through. Like, it's about, again, it's this message of going all in on your dream, going all in on your talent, trusting your gifts. And there's something about this project that I think can really help you level up. For some of you, it is going to be the thing that helps you break through. For others of you, it's the thing, it's a major stepping stone. Like, even if this isn't the thing that totally launches you, there's something about this project that's a major stepping stone. So again, like, I'm just getting this energy of like, go all in. Like, this is your path, is you have to acknowledge that you want it, and you have to go all in to make it happen. Now with this Six of Wands reversed. So the Six of Wands speaks to, oh my gosh, wait, that's not wands, that's swords. Those are so hard to see. Okay, so I'm going to go with what was coming up because I was getting this pretty clearly. And I feel like for a lot of you, and actually it still makes sense. But so the Six of Wands really speaks to visibility. And it speaks to being seen and celebrated for gifts and talents. Coming up in the reverse, to me, I was getting this sense of that there might be some kind of a fear around that, or some hesitancy around that needs to be worked through. And that was coming through pretty strongly. So I'm going to go ahead and say that's still true for this. The fact that I couldn't even tell that these were swords or wands, I feel like that message was meant to be here. But we will still give another interpretation for this with the swords in mind. So it does still kind of line up because the Six of Swords speaks to moving on. It speaks to letting go. It's about like making a journey. And see, the thing is, it's like it's leaving behind the dark. You know, I love that we have this card where it is kind of this like dark, rainy situation, but then there's this rainbow, and then above it is clear skies. So it's this energy of leaving behind something that was once important to you. With this being in the reverse, I feel like for a lot of you, I feel like it's like leaving behind your fears and worries about this. I feel like it's really anything that you might be afraid would not happen or would not work out for you, whatever it is. This is about really nurturing yourself and putting yourself in a position to succeed, putting yourself in a position of power with your creativity. So I feel like I think exactly what needs to be worked through here is going to be different for everybody. I do think visibility is going to be a major factor for most of you, but there's anything else that might stop you from really stepping into this power, anything else that might stop you from fully harnessing this power, whether it is like, again, like fear of being seen, I'm getting as being a big one, but it can also be like fear of success, fear of failure, fear that like you won't be able to handle thing, like if you were to be successful in this way, that you wouldn't be able to handle this sustained, you wouldn't be able to sustain it. There's the words I'm looking for. Anything that might come up, anything that might stop you from moving forward, this is the time to excavate that, to really dig in. Journaling, I'm getting as being really important, could be really valuable here, but just digging into anything that might hold you back. Now here with the Son of Cups, this is about making a genuine offer. Like the Son of Cups is the Knight of Cups in a traditional tarot deck, and it's a character who comes forward in a really genuine, heart-centered way. And I feel like for you, part of your success, part of harnessing your creative power really hinges on you being heart-centered, on you really staying connected to your heart, staying connected to what you want to express. And when you put something out into the world, you know, you can't control what people say. You can control what people think. That's one thing. I mean, as a creative, I can tell you, people have picked my stuff apart, and sometimes, or really anytime that has happened, I can't really say if that person wanted what I made or not. You know, everything is not for everyone. So how I always approached it is like, my stuff is for the people it resonates with. And I feel like it's kind of getting into that energy that you won't care what people say if people don't like what you make, if people don't like what you've shared, because you know you have created from a heart-centered place, if that makes sense. So you're able to put your work out there. You're able to share what you made with pride. And no, it won't be for everyone. People are going to criticize it. That's just the nature of sharing your creation. And while sometimes that can hurt and it can be hard, if you know you have put something out from a heart-centered place, you will be at peace. Like that is also a part of your creative power. It's how you can be at peace with what you share and how people perceive what you share. And now this 10 of Wands, and this is definitely Wands. I'm taking a close look at it. This is definitely Wands. This is, okay, so I'm getting two messages. So one, I think it's interesting, the imagery in this is so similar, that we have all of this darkness happening here. So I'm wondering for a lot of you, if like, there's something about this that I feel like if you are going through a struggle, or if you feel like you are carrying a lot, part of your creative power is, two messages coming through. Part of your creative power is letting your creativity set you free. So like, I'm kind of getting this energy of like, if you feel like you are, again, like you're doing too much, you have a lot on your plate, still make time for your creativity. Even if it's just like 10 minutes a day or 10 minutes a week, whatever it is, like set the time aside to cultivate this, because part of your creative power is how your creativity refills you. Obviously, sometimes you do need to have something in the well, right? You can't create from an empty well. But I think you would be surprised how often, especially if you're creating from a place of like pure joy and passion, that is sparking you. The other aspect of your creative power that I'm getting with this is I feel like your work has the potential to really be a light to people who are struggling, who are carrying a lot. I see them making time to experience your work because it just means so much to them. It gives them an escape. It gives them connection. It helps, express something that they've wanted to express themselves. There's something, again, it's that heart-centered nature of what you make that really grabs people. And I feel like I'm just seeing people making time to experience your work. All right, let's add some oracle cards on here. What do we have for pile number 1? How can they harness their creative power? There's a few. Oh, here we go. They kept almost flipping. I wasn't sure if we were going to get it. Fall in love with your own story. Yeah. So I'm getting 2 messages with this. Is one, you have to fall in love with what you're making. Again, with story coming up, I am getting writers. And for a while I was thinking it was just because I'm a writer. But now that we have this, I don't think that anymore. I think this group might be very writer heavy. But fall in love with your own story. So 2 messages with this is one, you have to fall in love with your literal story, like the story of your life, your path, your journey, every step you have taken to get to this place. You have to fall in love with how you got here, because from that place is what you can create from. So don't be afraid to use your story. Don't be afraid to own your story. Just like we're talking about owning what you want, own your story the same way. The second piece of this is you have to be in love with what you're sharing. This goes back to that heart center place. I feel like a huge part of your creative power is making sure you are only putting things out that you are truly in love with. You have to have no regrets. This isn't something that you should allow yourself to be pressured to release because it's time or you've taken long enough or whatever it is. You need to be in love with what you are creating and what you're sharing with people. That just seems really, really important for you and your creative journey and power. See what else we've got for you. Group number 1. What else can you tell us about their path to their true creative power? Energy, fire spirit. So yeah, this fire is really speaking to me. I feel like part of your power is how important it is for you to keep the creative fire burning. Don't let yourself burn out is what I'm getting. Don't work yourself into burnout. Don't let people push you into burnout, because that is definitely a risk that can happen. Again, I have been there. When you start to share your work with the world, is you do start to feel pressure to create. You do start to feel pressure to put things out there, to meet deadlines, expectations, all of that kind of stuff. And burnout is a very real thing. So you have to do what you need to keep your creative fire burning. Sometimes that is taking a break. Sometimes that is refilling that creative well we talked about. Sometimes it's just creating slowly. Maybe you don't really need a break. You just need to slow down and be more intentional about what you're putting out into the world. What this means, I think, is going to be very specific to each of you, but it's important for you to do whatever you have to just to keep that creative fire burning. All right, last messages for pile number 1. Okay, here is your feather, and it is a chickadee. The time is right to release old patterns and energies. You are ready to embrace change. Yeah, this syncs up so well with what we were talking about, because I feel like this is the shift. What we were talking about in the beginning over here, I feel like this is the shift that you are being encouraged to lean into right now, the change that you are being encouraged to embrace. It's time to own who you are, what you want to create, and just go all in. Release any patterns, even though we were talking about with this card here, release any patterns that would keep you from doing that, keep you from going all in, keep you from really chasing this dream and opening yourself to this goal. Because I'm just getting, again, the creative powerhouse that I'm getting from this reading is so strong. I just feel like this is your time. This is your time. And on that note, pile number one, I'm going to leave this reading here. Thank you so much for letting me read for you. If this reading resonated, I would love to know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this reading, please give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. I would love to have you in future videos. If you would like a personalized experience, I do have personal readings available. I also have tarot support for writers. So if you are a writer, that is available. That information is all in the description box below. If you are looking for other creative support, you can find that in the readings that I have available on my website. There's also tarot coaching, which is so powerful, and my signature transformational tarot coaching program, which is centered on making your dreams come true. So if that's something you're ready for, all of that is linked below, along with the tarot for writers, tarot support for writers. That's all I've got for you today. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you're having a wonderful day or night wherever you are in the world, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye. Hey Pal 2, welcome to your reading. Let's take a look at your path to your true creative power. What is Pal number 2's path to their true creative power? We got one that flipped over. All right, let's see what we've got for you. All right, first up we have the Two of Wands, followed by the Page of Wands, followed by Temperance. Oh, I didn't realize we had 5 here. Followed by the Ten of Pentacles and the Seven of Wands. Okay, so all of these Wands cards, Wands are a major creative card for me. It's Wands and Cups that when they show up, especially when they show up together, I know we don't have them both here, but you've got 3 Wands cards. So the creative fire has been lit, because that's what Wands really speak to. It's passion, it's fire, all of that kind of energy. So yeah, I feel like for you, especially specifically, your creativity, I think, is very passion led. Like it's going to be something that really sparks your inspiration. Like if you want whatever you want to make, it's like I'm seeing you as like really being in that like creative fire energy. Like you get that spark of inspiration. It's like, ooh, I need to play with this. I need to make this. I need to see where this can go. I need to spend time with it and really see how it can grow. But there's also, especially we've got both the Two of Wands and Temperance coming up. So I do think there is something here about like kind of like part of how you really like step into your creative power, part of how you harness your power is kind of learning to let the fire out a little bit more slowly, to have a little bit of a balance to it, to take some time to plan, to take some time to nurture an idea, and to pace yourself a bit so that you don't burn out. Because that's the thing with fire, right? It's that whole, it can warm your house or it can burn it down. And in this case, it can ignite your soul or it can burn you out. And I feel like that's something that you need to be mindful of. But it can also be really abundant. I feel like for you, especially because we have 4 out of your 5 cards are upright. So I do feel like for a lot of you, you are really being encouraged. Part of harnessing your power is by sharing it with the world. It's by putting your work out there. I think if you were more reversed, it could be like that's something for you. Not that you couldn't share it if you wanted to, but it's more like doing it is more, it would be more about fulfilling you. But the fact that we've got all these uprights, like part of your purpose with your creativity, part of harnessing your creative power is by sharing your work, by sharing what you're creating. But let's go ahead and dive into things card by card. So first of all, with this Two of Wands, this was the first card that was kind of indicating to me a need to plan, and a need to think. I kind of, when this card came up, I heard like, let it rest. So like, it's this idea of not just, when you get that creative spark, when that spark of inspiration comes online, by all means, nurture it, but don't skip steps. Like, don't just dive right into making things happen. Part of how you can really harness your creative power is by slowing down just a little bit, by letting yourself get organized, by letting the idea kind of percolate and cook a bit, and letting you dream about what it could be and what steps you need to take. Like, what's the next step that you need to put into practice? What's the next thing that you need to lean into? And like, I love that, like, this character just has such a dreamy expression on her face. Like, I just see her as dreaming. So like, don't feel like this kind of like sitting with the idea is like wasting time. I feel like, again, like the creative fire that we have from you, it might be pushing you to like, go do, make it happen, bring it into being. There's a time and a place for that. We'll get there. But for you, I think it's really important for you to kind of like gather that power, gather that inspiration, and put it into some kind of structure or just a roadmap. It doesn't have to be like a super, like every step is planned, but just kind of know where you're going. Know what the goal is before you start. Because it just gives you a little bit more of a path. It gives you something to kind of follow and work with. Now with this Page of Wands, I love this Page of Wands. I mean, like, she is free. Like, she's throwing her arrow up, or her wand up, arrow. She's throwing her wand up. We have this, which to me, this feels like a swirl of creativity in the back. Like it's a swirl of really positive energy that's like awakening in this character. And she's just like living her life. And I feel like that is kind of how your creativity feels. Like when you get a new idea, because that's the thing with the pages, is the pages are the beginning of a journey. So I'm kind of imagining like this is like you with a new idea. And I do think it's, as much as we said to take a plan or to make a plan, there will come a time when like, okay, so you've sat with the idea for a bit. Now it's time to go. Now it's time to really lean into this, to feel into it. And I do think that's important, is to kind of feel your way through it. To let the creative power drive you. But again, it's that burnout you want to watch, especially coming up with Temperance. They're really coming out in between these two cards, which speak to a certain amount of like, this one a little bit of planning, this one kind of pacing yourself. So let yourself be ignited. But I think especially in the beginning, it's important for you to kind of really nurture that creative spark in the beginning of a project. And also though, like again, like, but to not burn out. Because I feel like I'm also getting for some of you, like if you are somebody who starts projects but doesn't quite finish them, like you start them and you're all in and then like they just kind of fizzle out. Sometimes that's okay. Like sometimes we need to try things and realize, no, that's not really for us. I'm just not feeling it. And it's okay to walk away from things. So I don't want you to hear me, like to hear this and think that I'm saying it's not okay. It's always okay to walk away from things that we've tried and really aren't for us. But what I think is important, if you are somebody who feels like you want to bring something into the world, but you just can't finish it, I think it's the slowing down that's really going to help with that, so that you don't burn out in this early stage. Because I think that for a lot of you, that's kind of the important part. The important lesson here is that you have to get past this first stage. Like, yes, lean into the inspiration, but then give yourself a little bit of structure and a little bit of pacing to help you actually get to the end of the journey, so you have something to really offer the world. And which leads us to Temperance. So this is the card that I was getting like pace yourself energy from. I mean, with this card, we have the balance of the sun and the moon. So it does speak to slowing down, coming into balance, also kind of alchemizing a little bit. So like I'm kind of getting like things, like if you hit a wall, if you hit a wall, sometimes it's important to try to work through it. Even if you have to take a break, it doesn't mean force yourself through it. Sometimes we need to take a break, see things from a new perspective, all of that kind of stuff, honor the creative journey. But with Temperance coming up, I'm kind of getting the message that for a lot of you, you can probably alchemize any situation in your project that isn't working. If you just stepped back, if you just gave it time to breathe. For some of you, I'm actually wondering if there's a project you kind of abandoned that you could probably pick up again and turn into something. That feels specific. It's probably not for everybody, but like if you could just kind of see it from a new perspective, see the challenges that you thought you could not overcome, like maybe the current version of you actually can overcome them. Maybe the person you've grown into since you've walked away from that project actually can see this from a new perspective and take a new approach and bring it into reality. But even if that's not true for you, I feel like there's probably more available to you than you realize, or more potential for you to really take a wall, to take a creative block or just a problem in a project and actually overcome it. There's a way to like see that obstacle as more of a challenge that's meant to push your creativity. And I think if you give it enough breathing room and are patient enough with it and with yourself, you can find your way through. But also, again, I don't want to lose sight of this. To me, the biggest message of this card is to pace yourself, is to give yourself like a time frame, to give yourself like to keep your creative fire burning so that you don't burn out. Now over here with the Ten of Pentacles, We love to see the Ten of Pentacles. This is really giving me the impression that whatever this is that you are making, whatever this is that you're being encouraged to share with the world, it can be very profitable for you. I mean, Ten of Pentacles is like generational money profitable, or generational abundance profitable. So I feel like if you really trust yourself, if you can kind of get yourself in a way that you can pace yourself and maintain kind of, I hesitate to say consistent schedule, or consistent creativity, because to me, I believe in the creative cycle. So I don't think we are necessarily meant to be always creating and always producing. I think there's a time where we're like gathering inspiration and just like nurturing the idea, a time where we're actually producing the idea, and then a time where we're resting and we're both recovering from our previous creative sprint, we'll say, and preparing for our next one. So I don't want to say like you should be creating every day when I say creative consistency, but like that's a cycle. That to me is consistency. So if you can get yourself in a place where you can kind of create with some kind of consistency, even if it's a cyclical type of consistency, you are going to be in a position to be really abundant. And I always like to point out, abundance doesn't have to mean like a shit ton of money. It can, it certainly can, but it doesn't have to. It's putting you in the energy of feeling like you have more than enough and having a consistent income flow. Now, with the Seven of Wands reversed, I love the way the Seven of Wands is depicted in this deck. We have this character who is like meditating in this like bubble of peace that she's created for herself. And we have these, which I've always imagined like there's little people down here like trying to poke at her, trying to invade her peace, and she's just not having it. She's setting a boundary with these people who want her time and attention. She is taking her time for herself, and she is not responding to whatever's going on down here. I love that we have her sacral chakra, or her solar plexus chakra activated. That is her personal power center. And that is what's coming online. Now, the fact that this is in the reverse for you, I feel like the boundaries that need to be set for you to really harness your creative power are boundaries that you set with yourself. So it is like that, like setting time aside to show up to your creation. And like I talked about, it doesn't have to be an everyday kind of thing or that type of consistency, but if you really want to make something with this, you kind of do have to show up regularly. You have to set a time aside and say, this is my time to create, and then actually show up and do it. Even if it's just 10 minutes. Like I always say, start small. You know, if you need to do it like 10, 15 minutes a day at first, do that. 10, 15 minutes, 3 days a week, whatever it is, like schedule the time and show up. I have found, and this is personal to me, it might not be true for everybody. Everybody works differently. But when I'm trying to build a new habit like this, when I'm trying to show up to something consistently, I do try for like a month to show up every single day. Like I plan to do this thing every single day for 15 or 20 minutes. And some times I will show up and feel like, I really don't have it today. And because I've planned it to do it every day, that's okay. Like I'm still building the habit that it's okay if on some days I really don't have it and I don't beat myself up over that. But just for like a month, that consistency of showing up becomes a habit, and then I can like kind of be more lax about what my preferred schedule or ideal schedule is. And also, just to be clear too, like we talked about the creative cycle, sometimes that 20 minutes can be just like watching something or reading or something, doing something to refill the creative well. Can't be all the time, because again, you won't actually be creating if that is all you're doing. But sometimes that is what we need. So just putting that out there, take it for what it is. But I do feel like consistency, really setting boundaries with yourself, making sure you are showing up and committing to your creation to some degree in some way, is just crucial for you really harnessing your creative power and bringing this creation into the world. All right, let's see what else we've got for you in the Oracle cards. What else do we have? Ooh. Lead your metamorphosis. Okay, so yeah, this is, to me, it's kind of lining up with the Seven of Wands. What we were just talking about is like, you've got to take charge of this. Like if you want this thing to exist, you are a creative force. Like that's clear. It's clear what we have here. You have that creative fire. You are a creative force. Lead your metamorphosis to bring it into reality, to take this thing from an idea and actually to a finished project. You can do it. You may have to find a way that works for you. like I said, like a creation schedule, or I hate to say schedule because it makes it sound rigid. I don't want it to sound rigid, but I also don't have a better word for it. So hopefully you get what I'm saying. Like some kind of creative system, we'll say, that works for you, that gets you showing up regularly, that gets you committed to what you're making and committed to bringing it into the world. Because this is a transformation, I feel like, not just for your creation, but for yourself. All right, let's see what else we've got for pile number 2. Purification, Pine Spirit. Okay, so I am getting like, I love that we have like the way her wings are blurred, like, and we've got this wing metaphor happening here. You are really being encouraged to fly. You are really being encouraged to fly. Purification, I'm getting like cleaning out any old like systems that aren't serving you, any old belief systems that aren't serving you. Like you need to purify your mind, you need to purify your environment, you need to purify your process so that you are fully in a position to succeed. So like, again, it's anything that's not working for you. If you've tried to create in the past and like this suggestion I made where like showing up every day, that was too much and it made it too overwhelming, then that's not what you want to do. Like that's a system that needs to be purified. You need to create systems and strategies that really work for you. And belief systems as well. Let's not lose sight of that. Belief systems as well. Just things that really, really can put you on a path to succeed and to really, I'm just getting this need for you to like, to complete your creation and put it out there. All right, pile number 2, last messages here. All right, this one I think really wants to come out because it almost came out and then it flipped over. We've got Bluebird. You are being gifted with blessings of happiness and peace. Well, that's quite a way to end it. So I you know, what I'm getting is, I think if you go down this path, if you harness your power in the way that the cards are suggesting today, you will naturally find yourself blessed with happiness and peace. Like this isn't just a path for you to your creative power. It's a path to your happiness, peace, and joy. So the more you can lean into that, the more you can harness that, the more you can let yourself really move through a process that works for you, the more power you're going to access, and the more happiness, peace, and joy you're going to find, which I really love for you. But on that note, pile number 2, I'm going to end this reading here. Thank you so much for letting me read for you. If this reading resonated, I would love to know how in the comments. And if you enjoyed this reading, please give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. I would really love to have you in future videos. If you would like a more personalized experience, I do have tarot readings available on my website. You will find that linked in the description box below. This includes live readings. There's also coaching sessions, which are powerful, and a coaching program built around making your dreams come true. So if that's something you're interested in, you can check that out below. Also, if you happen to be a writer, if that is your form of creative expression, I do offer tarot support for writers, also linked below. I would love to see you there if that's your kind of thing. And if none of that is right for you, but you still want to support the channel, there is also a donation link below. Donations are never expected, but always appreciated, and they just go to support the growth of the channel. That's all I've got for you today. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you're having a wonderful day or night wherever you are in the world, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye. Hey Pile 3, welcome to your reading. Let's take a look at your path to your creative power. What is pile number 3's path to their creative power? Let's see, how many is this? That's 3. Let's get at least one more. And there we go. Thank you. All right, so we've got the 7 of Swords, followed by the 6 of Swords reversed, followed by the 7 of Wands reversed, followed by the 4 of Wands reversed. Okay, this is really interesting. So first of all, I think it's really interesting that we have a balance between the swords and the wands here. So wands for me inherently have a piece of creativity to it. So I feel like this is really your creative spark and your creative fire that we're talking about, but also, you know, swords can really speak to the mind. It can also speak to communication. So I feel like your thoughts and how you communicate plays a really big role in your creation. So for a lot of you, I do feel like this is probably more artistic. Like this could be writing, this could be a musician, like especially if you're working with lyrics. But for others of you, if that's not resonating, it could also just be your ability to communicate with others. How, like, part of your creative power is just your ability to communicate, to reach people, no matter what you're creating, your ability to connect with them on a really, like, I'm getting heart-centered way, like a heart level. Is really, really powerful. I also think it's interesting that 2 of your cards we have are 7s. So 7s are about assessment. And this was also something I was kind of getting with wands, or with the swords over here, but specifically the 7 of swords, which we'll get into more specifically in a moment. But 7s can speak to, like, slowing down a little bit to think things through. Like I said, it's an assessment period. It's like you've reached a certain point in the journey. Like, if we're looking at the journey as like 1 through 10, the 7s are when you've reached like a certain point, you've been, like, things are moving along, but you kind of need a time out to just reevaluate where you're at and where you're headed. So I think part of your creative power is kind of recognizing that evolution and really taking a pause when necessary to reevaluate, to really connect with where you're at now. Because what I'm getting is, like, your creative power is very fluid. So I think for a lot of you, especially with the 7 of swords, that there is a need to kind of plan, and like the swords in general speak to, again, like, bringing your mind into this. So I think there is kind of a need to plan a little bit, like I'm getting, like, if you're a writer, like, you might be a bit of a brainstormer and a bit of an outliner. But even if that's not what you're here for, if it's not writing, like, there's a planning stage I think is very helpful for you and your creative power. But it's also like, I totally lost my train of thought on that one. All right, it'll come back if it was that important. But overall, it's like there's this like a connection point between your brain and your strategy and what you're bringing to the world, and just taking that time. Oh, that's where I was going with it. So if you if that resonates, like, and I do think for a lot of you, you're kind of being told to try this direction if you feel like it doesn't resonate. But taking that time to plan is important because it gives your creativity structure. But when you reach a certain stage, you don't want to stay rigid to that plan. Like, there's a fluidity that needs to happen to that. So that's the 7 energy, is like a need to reassess. So, like, your power, I think, really lies in, or part of your power is like creating that plan, creating that structure, but not being married to anything, of really letting things flow and letting things evolve in a really beautiful and natural way. All right, let's get into this card by card. So first up, with this 7 of swords, this can be a card of strategy. First, in some cases, it can kind of speak to deception, but I'm really not getting that for you. I feel like this is about being very strategic. Like, if you look at this character, he has taken 5 swords, but he's left 2. So there's a reason for that. There's a reason he's leaving these swords behind. It's a very strategic decision on this character's part. So I feel like for you, you're kind of, part of your power really lies in strategy. It lies in a little bit of planning, especially because this card is coming out first here. I feel like in the beginning of your creative process, taking a minute to regroup, or to get yourself together, to gather your ideas, to, again, like, there's this idea of giving it structure. And I'm kind of getting like it's like a masculine feminine balance. We all have both energies, but like for your creative process, you really need both. I think everybody does, but I think it's coming out as being really essential for you. But like having, like, the masculine energy give you a structure, having some kind of an outline or just some kind of a plan so that you know what you're working towards. And then from there, like, it lets your creativity flow because you have this structure. If it's like without this structure, I feel like your ideas might be too all over the place, and like there's too many threads to follow. Is kind of what I'm getting. Like, I'm just getting, especially with this, like the swords coming up, I'm really getting a lot of mind energy. So I feel like I'm almost getting like you might be somebody who, like, when you're working on something, or like when your creation is really speaking to you, it's like all you're thinking about. It's like what's getting a lot of your time and energy, and it's just like kind of in your mind. Or like at least at the forefront of your mind quite a bit. So yeah, I really feel like part of your power is being able to give your creation structure. And it also, like, that really helps people be able to follow you. Like, that helps people really be able to see what you're doing and be really behind it. Again, like in a really powerful way. It helps them connect more easily because it does, what you make does have a certain structure and framework to it. Before we get into the 6 of swords, the other thing I forgot to mention in the beginning is that 4 of your cards are reversed. So in some cases, this doesn't have to be true for everybody, but in some cases, I really feel like your creative power lies in creating for yourself. Now, this doesn't mean you can't share what you create or that you won't be successful that way, but it's like you have to make what makes you happy first. You have to prioritize what, like making something that you would be really proud of, that you would be a fan of if you had made it, if you hadn't made it. Like if you had come across what you made and somebody else made it, you would be a big fan of it. So I feel like it's kind of this part of your power is prioritizing yourself and your interests. And then yes, if you do want to share it to the world, then you need to give it that structure and framework, which I think the Seven of Swords is really speaking to. You have to give it that structure and framework so other people can follow it. And I think you're really good at that. But your priority, the root of your power, needs to be in pleasing yourself with what you're making. Okay? Now, with this Six of Swords, I feel like, again, part of your power. So the Six of Swords speaks to kind of getting out of your comfort zone. When we look at this card upright, it's a character who is leaving behind something they knew, something that was perhaps really good for them, a place typically that was really good and supportive of them, and they're going on to a new journey. And it's not like anything bad has happened to them in this place where they're leaving. The idea is that it's just time for them to go. It's an area, it's a place that they have outgrown. And it's a little uncomfortable. Like they don't really know what's ahead, but they know it's time to move on. So it's kind of that bittersweet ending energy. For you, with that in mind, I feel like this, with the Six of Swords reversed, your creative power really lies in I'm getting two messages. One is doing things that are outside of your comfort zone. So like trying something new, perhaps in whatever your art form is, or whatever your creative form is. It's doing something that's either new to you, but I kind of think like people really haven't done before. People don't do often. Like you're into the experimentals and playing and just kind of just stretching yourself a little bit. But I'm also I feel like part of your creative power is really taking your struggles and your growth points and your discomforts and finding a way to put them into art. 'Cause again, I do feel like most of you really, this might be a more artistic group, but then putting them into art to share with the world. And I feel like that is what part of makes you so accessible and so interesting to people, and what makes people really connect with your work is that, you know, we all have gone through certain like growth points. We all have had these levels of discomfort, but I think you have a real gift for capturing them and sharing them with people and putting them out there in a way that people can really connect to and relate with, and relate with that struggle. Now, with the Seven of Wands reversed, part of your creative power really hinges on you setting strong boundaries with yourself. So the Seven of Wands, I always think of as like a boundary setting card. Sometimes other interpretations come up, but predominantly for me, this is a boundary setting card. When it's upright, you see we have this character who's like kind of fending off this battle, these other people in my mind who like want his time and attention. And he's saying no. He's saying, no, you can't have it. When this card shows up in reverse, it's setting those boundaries with yourself. So for me, this means like making sure you have time set aside to create and that you're actively showing up to do that creation. And of course, this is a balance. And I feel like it's always important to mention this because sometimes I think creatives can get too into the like really like driven energy where it's like I have to show up every day or whatever it is, or I'm not serious. Like you can kind of have that mentality because that's kind of what society tells you, right? Like if you want to make these things happen, you have to be committed and dedicated. And there is a time and a place for that. Sometimes you do have to show up even when you don't feel like it. But it's also important not to put yourself in a position where you're burning yourself out. And I'm speaking from experience on that. So to me, what this Seven of Wands though is saying is that it is important for you to set time aside and make sure you are showing up. Make sure you are really dedicated to your creation, that you are putting the time and energy in. And sometimes, yeah, you truly may not have it. Even if you set the time aside, you just may not have the energy or whatever. Things could be going on or just the creative juice just isn't there. That happens. But I would challenge you to show up anyway and really see what happens. Especially like if you set the time aside. Some of you, like once you know yourself, you don't always have to do this. But for some of you, I feel like this could be really good advice, that showing up and seeing what happens, like just try to start. Because in my experience, you know, now I know myself better, but sometimes it's like there's a little bit resistance in getting started, but once I get into it, I'm flowing and I'm good and I'm glad I tried. To me, that's like when I just don't really feel like it, but the creative energy's there. There are other days where I'm totally depleted and I just don't have it in me. And I will show up and I'll start and I'll stop. And I'll start again and I'll stop. And it really is like I'm banging my head against the wall. That's when it's time to take a day off. and to just let it go. So I feel like finding those really healthy boundaries and a healthy flow for you is really essential to your creative power. Like you do need to be dedicated. You do need to have that like structure in place for you to show up and really be committed to what you're making. But it's also important to be flexible with yourself and to learn yourself so you know like when do I have to kind of push through that initial resistance, and when is it like, oh no, I actually need to rest and rejuvenate. Now, this Four of Wands reversed. This is a big indicator to me, in addition to all of the reversals that we have here, but this is a really big indicator to me that you have to learn to be happy with what you are making, regardless of what other people think. And that you have to see, like I'm getting ahead of myself. The Four of Wands speaks to celebration. Look at this card. This is a happy card. It's one of my favorites. I think it's one of a lot of tarot readers' favorites because it's just such a happy, joyous energy. It's good things. It's like a level of success that you get to celebrate. With this Four of Wands coming up in the reverse, I'm getting two messages. Is one, you have to put your own value on your work above anybody else's. So what I mean by this is kind of what we talked about earlier, where like you have to decide that you like what you've put out, that you are proud of what you made more than anything else. And if other people like it and it does take off, that's great. But if nobody else likes it but you and your friends, like that's totally fine too, because you will still have a sense of accomplishment that you made something that was really true to your heart and true to what you wanted to exist. And I think tapping into that power is part of what's going to make your work feel so authentic to others. I actually really do see this resonating with people, but it's because you stay true to this authenticity. Like that's why this is part of your power. So you have to get yourself to a point where you actually don't care if people like this or not, and they will like it. But for you to create from a really authentic place, you have to prioritize what matters to you. And creating what you want to create. I also feel like it's important for you to have your own levels of success that aren't like the external. So it's not the idea that everyone else might like it, or like a certain monetary number if you do decide that's something, an angle you want to pursue. It's more about like the process of creation. I'm getting like the satisfaction and joy of doing and seeing everything else as extra. But like I'm seeing like that should not be part of your goal. Part of your creative power is truly creating from your heart, creating from like this really grounded but place of passion, and putting out into the world something that makes you feel really fulfilled. And when you do that, I do see other like good things following. I do see you having a lot of like external accomplishments to celebrate, as you should. But I feel like a key to your power is not letting those things be the driving factor, if that makes sense. All right, let's add some oracle cards on here. What else do we have for pile number 3? What else do we have for pile number 3? One almost came out. What else? Okay, we've got 2 for you. Oh my gosh, this is so funny. So we've got external validation. And in this case, I really do think that it is like you putting headphones on. Like external validation is not what you need here. I think, and of course, like I always say, I do think we need some external validation. I know it's very common for people to say like, you need to validate yourself. And yes, you do. But I think external validation, especially from a creative angle, is important. You do need feedback. You do, especially if you know your target audience, if you are like getting feedback from your target audience and you do want to share it and create something that will resonate with them, you do have to be able to take that feedback. And I think that can be really important for you. But in this case, I'm kind of really being drawn to these headphones. I feel like this is kind of like putting on headphones and really drowning out everybody else's noise. Again, to a point, you do need to listen to feedback if you want to share it, and you have people who you believe can help you make your creation closer to what you want it to be. But you need to be very selective about the feedback that you are taking. Once you have that feedback, and once you have like those people that you trust, outside of them, it's not external validation that's important here. It's putting on headphones and really locking into what matters to you. And next we have bliss is worth creating from. So it really is like getting yourself into a place of bliss. Again, it's that idea of like, if you are creating from your heart, if you are heart, literally, you have the heart here. If you are creating from your heart, you are going to be creating something that people are going to love, and you're going to be creating something that's really fulfilling for you. And that is, again, like the root of your creative power. All right, what else do we have? Oh, geez, got 2 again. Okay, first up, we have gratitude. So again, a couple messages with this is one, I feel like it's important for you to practice gratitude at every step along this journey. I think it's going to call more good things in for you. But also, I feel like there's a lot of people who are going to be really grateful for you for making what you're making, for getting to experience it. Again, I feel like your authenticity, that's a big part of your creative power. And if you tap into that, if you lean into that, you are going to be able to create something that gives voice to things that people really need, like a voice given to. And they're going to be really grateful for what you make because of that. And then we've got stag spirit leadership. So yeah, I mean, I feel like this is the message that I'm getting is like, you are the leader. Like, you are speaking from your heart. You are doing your own thing. You are making your own plans. It's important for you to stay true to you. Again, this doesn't mean you can't take outside feedback or advice, but it needs to come down to, you need to be evaluating it with a, how does this make me or my project better? How does this make me or my project closer to what I want it to be? So it's like, again, it's just really stepping into a bit of a leadership position and taking charge of this. I think that, again, that's part of your creative power, is recognizing your authority here and that you are in the driver's seat of your creation. All right, last messages. Here is your feather, and it is a falcon. Use your keen perception and skill in making decisions. Do not delay. So what I'm getting with this is really to trust yourself. Like, I do think you have a keen perception. You do have this keen skill. But again, I am feeling like there is something about your approach or something about what you want to do with your creation that's going to go against the advice that like most people would give. And you're just being encouraged to trust yourself. You're being encouraged to lean into you and to tap into your own authenticity and your own authentic voice. And on that note, pile number 3, I'm going to leave this reading here. Thank you so much for letting me read for you. If this reading resonated, I would love to know how in the comments. And if you enjoyed this reading, please give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. I would really love to have you in future videos. If you would like a more personalized experience, I do have several different tarot reading options, which you can find in the description box. There's also coaching sessions and my Transformational Tarot Coaching Program, which is all about making your dreams come true. And if you do happen to be a writer, I do offer writing support. There's a whole host of writing specific tarot support options that you can find linked in the description box. And if none of that is right for you, but you still want to support the channel, there is a donation link below. Donations are never expected, but always appreciated, and they just go to support the growth of the channel. That's all I've got for you today. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you're having a wonderful day or night wherever you are in the world, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye. Hey, Pile 4, welcome to your reading. Let's take a look at your path to your creative power. One flipped over. Let's see what else we've got for pile number 4. What's pile number 4's path to their creative power? What's pile number 4's path to their creative power? Let's get you at least one more. I'm going to take that one because that jumped out. All right. First up, we have the Page of Swords reversed, followed by the 5 of Cups, followed by the 2 of Wands, and followed by the 8 of Coins. Okay. All right, so 1, I think it's really interesting that we've got for you these like 2 uprights and 2 reversals happening here. So I feel like for you, part of your creative power is really about like alchemizing your internal and external worlds, because to me that's predominantly what the uprights and reversals represent. The uprights are external energy and like engaging with the external world. The reversals are internalized energy and engaging with your internal world. And I feel like for you, the fact that we have this balance is I just think you are, part of your power is like kind of looking at what's going on in the world, and perhaps even your world specifically, like your experiences, and like engaging in that, but then being able to go inward, really reflect and really like tap into something kind of special and be able to then turn that into your creation. For most of you, I am feeling that this is more of in an artistic way, but for others of you, like it could be like if you are, seeing like you went through some kind of a struggle and you create some kind of nonprofit to support people who are in that kind of struggle. Or if you struggled with something at one point in your life, but there was like a tool that you really could have used, you go on to create that tool that's then available to people. So that's really like the energy that I'm getting. We're going to talk about this card more, the Five of Cups here, but this card is giving me like both this card. It's interesting because both your upright cards, it's really interesting. So they both speak to a certain amount of like pain I'm kind of getting. Like this character's actively crying, which isn't too surprising for the Five of Cups. But for this, the Eight of Coins or the Eight of Pentacles typically is not seen as like a sad card. This character's also crying and like her foot has been through it. So if her hands, it looks like she's like really working herself to the bone here. So I feel like what I'm just really getting is like if there's any struggles that you've experienced, and these cards for some of you, like they might be more extreme. Not everybody may have had these extreme struggles, but even if you have, like the things that you have struggled with the most is what I'm getting with this. You're able to turn into art that really means something to people. And I think also is really healing for you. Again, like that's kind of like the dual meaning here. I think it's something that's really, it could be really helpful to others, but it's really healing and really supportive of you with this reversed energy and this internalized energy. So let's get into this card by card. So first here with this Page of Swords, one, I feel like part of your creative power is that you are not quick to act, or act on your creation. Like you let things kind of cook a little bit. You let things come to you. And if you aren't doing this, like you might want to try. You might want to see what happens if you let ideas come to you and then they just kind of sit and they simmer. Page of Swords also speaks to exploration. So to me, it's like exploring a possibility of something, but keeping it to yourself. That's what I'm getting with this reversal. Is this isn't something that you are sharing with others. It's something that like you are just playing with by yourself. You are exploring the possibilities. You're doing research or you're organizing ideas, whatever it may be. But I think part of your creative power, like this is such an important part of your creative process because it allows the ideas to really cement and percolate and transform and still be wholly your own. Like I kind of subscribe to this, at least to a point, that I feel like it's really important for me anyway, and I'm getting this for you too, in the beginning of the creative process, to keep things to yourself, to not share, because you need to see what you think of this thing first. Like you need to see what ideas you really have, and you need to kind of just be with them and allow them to bloom and grow and evolve and organize them so that like when you present them to somebody else, you have kind of a coherent way of presenting it. Because I think if you present things too early to people, especially to the wrong people, but that's a whole other story. But if you present things too early, people might not get it, or they could be discouraging. But if you take the time to really sit with something and let it evolve, let it cement, you will be so confident and sure about what you're doing that one, I believe you will present it better and people will be more receptive to your idea. But also, even if they're not, you'll have sat with it and be so solid in it that it'll be okay. Like it's not going to be discouraging. So part of your power, I think, is really giving yourself time and energy to develop this thing before letting anyone else in on what's going on, or before you take it anywhere. Is just really giving it that time to cook. Now with the Five of Cups here, like when this card came out, like this was actually the first card, because this one flipped over and I couldn't actually see what it was. I just kind of got a flash of it and it was cups. I actually thought it was the Four of Cups, but the message is still the same. And it's that you turn your pain into it is like pain into power energy, where you take like the sufferings, you take the disappointments that you've had, like we've got these 5 spilled over cups here, and you turn them into the cups that have everything you need. You turn the experience into something. Oh, it's really interesting too. I didn't notice that, where they have this, like there's somebody that's like pulling on this character's hair, like trying to pull them back down under the water. And it's like, you just won't go. Like you might be really upset. You may have had some hard times, but like you were able to get yourself up again. And now you can do something with this experience. Like it's not meant to just sit inside you. I'm just, for this group in particular, I'm really getting your life experience is such an essential part of your creative power, whatever your life experience is. For a lot of you, I do think there has some degree of struggle to it just because of the cards that we have here. Oh, sorry, I just hit the mic. Just because of the cards that we have here. But I don't think like it doesn't have to be deep struggle. It can be whatever your experience is, but I'm just getting that your life experience is really essential to your creative power. It's really what brings an element of like honesty to what you're creating and an element of genuineness that makes people really want to engage with you specifically. Like I'm feeling like as much as like they're going to like what you create and they're going to want to engage with what you create, your story is just as much a part of or as interesting to people as what you've created and what you're offering. Now with the Two of Wands reversed, oh, it's so interesting. I wasn't even like fully processing this card. It's like, this is another card that speaks to planning, but kind of keeping it to yourself. So again, we have this balance of like, I feel like your plans need to be yours until you are truly ready to share them. And you can have a couple people that you trust. Like, again, I feel like everybody needs some kind of feedback in the creative process. So if you have like a couple people or just a small group of people that you do feel comfortable talking to and sharing these things with, that's totally fine. But for you, I really feel like you are meant to make your plans in silence. Like you are like the move in secret type of energy. And I do think too, like, this is so interesting because we have this character who has like two heads and they're looking in either direction. So again, I feel like it's this energy of like your past creates your future. Your past is such a huge part of your creative process. And maybe for some of you, it is more of like what you've learned in the past and your experiences has helped you be a more authentic creator. Maybe you're not directly including your life experiences for some of you. Most of you, I really believe you are. But there is just something about how your past and your history is really propelling you forward. Like, so if you have ever felt like, oh, I can't share that part of myself, or I don't want to put that out there for people because like that's a little too vulnerable, I hear you. And you should not put anything out there that you're not comfortable with. Boundaries are important, but also you might want to kind of explore, could you share some of it? Or is there something you could share? Is there something really honest that you could put forward? Just because I feel like that's just going to be your story and your history are not something to be ashamed of. There's something that people are really going to find empowering. And the more you can own that, the more it will elevate you and your work. Now with this Eight of Coins, this is really interesting to me because again, like we talked about earlier, this is typically not seen as a card of struggle. It's seen as a card of mastery. It's like putting the time in to do the work to like master your craft. So I do feel like there's an element where it's like you may have been like whatever your art form is or whatever your creative form is, you likely did really put the time in to learn how to do this well. But I also feel like there's kind of a message that I'm getting here is like, you don't need to run yourself into the ground to succeed. You don't need to be perfect to put yourself out there, to put your creation out there. Like you see this character, like she's doing everything she can to be a master at making these pentacles, out of this like vines that are covered in thorns. Like you look at her hands, look at her feet. She is crying. She is giving her everything she has to master this. And what I'm getting is like, you don't have to do that. I think the imperfection is kind of it's part of your power. It's part of the attraction. It's part of the authenticity of your work, of your creation. So don't feel like you have to be perfect. Of course, you want to do a good job. So like, do enough, but you don't want to slip into perfectionism, especially if you ever reach the point where you are feeling like you are giving too much of yourself to succeed. Then you want to take a step back and reevaluate the direction that you're headed in, because you are not meant to suffer like this for your art or your creation. You are meant to really have your creation support you and be more of a healing aspect, have more of a healing aspect to it. So this to me is just a message for you that part of your creative power is being well. And it's okay to put things out that are imperfect. You don't have to be a complete and total master. If you have this energy, like to me, this card kind of feels like perfectionist energy as we're seeing it here. So if you have a habit of slipping into perfectionism, this is kind of like a message that, one, you don't have to be perfect. In fact, part of the charm of what you put out there is that it's not perfect. People will really respond to that. But the other piece of it is that if you ever find yourself, of course, like I said, I can understand wanting to do a good job and put out something that you can be proud of. But if you get to the point where like you're trying to put something out that's so perfect that it's hurting you, or so good that it's hurting you, then it probably doesn't need to be that good. All right? Because you are the most important part of this process. You are the most essential part of this creation. It doesn't exist without you. And you cannot create or create well from a place that's depleting you, as this card is depicting. So just please know that this is never expected of you, and it's never necessary for you to be successful and for you to put something out there, or just to create something that you can be really proud of and that people will really respect and resonate with. All right, let's add some oracle cards on here. What else do we have for pile number 4? Fill your cup with sacred giggles. Yeah. I feel like this, what I'm getting is like your process should be fun. So yes, we're talking about like your life experience. And for a lot of you, like struggle is kind of like what I can see as being like kind of like the inspiration for your work to a degree, but like it's really alchemizing. Again, it's that alchemizing energy where you're taking your struggle and you're turning it into something really fun. Like this process should be kind of fun. It should be like exciting to you. It should make you kind of giggly when you think about the potential and when you hear from people, or when you put it out there, and like you can potentially hear from people who will be really helped by what you made, or really touched by what you made, or whatever it is. Like there should just be, as much as like for some of you, like this might be kind of a heavier topic, this should feel like play. You should be excited to show up for what you're making, even if it's asking a lot of you, even if you're kind of cultivating or like going through some old harder stuff. This is an opportunity to really alchemize that and turn it into something that's actually really fun. Yeah. See what else we have for you. Pile number 4. What else do we have for pile number 4? Ooh, almost. There we go. Wise woman of the grove, Grace. Yeah. Okay. So I feel like, one, I was kind of getting that energy as we're like going through this, is like, I feel like you have a lot of wisdom. Like I'm seeing like part of your creation is somehow like taking your wisdom and offering it to others. Again, whether it be because you needed a tool you didn't have and you can now make that and share it with others, or if it's like through your work, through your more artistic work, that you can offer perspective to someone else that was struggling, or whatever it may be. I'm just kind of getting this energy of someone who has been through it, but is on the other side of it and can offer wisdom and perspective. And it's possible you might not feel this way when you start working on whatever your creation is or whatever your creations are, but it's like the process, like I said at the beginning, this I feel like is a very, like your part of your creative power is how healing it is for you. So I feel like it's like going through this, and as you make whatever you're making, it heals you and puts you in a place of wisdom. It's that reflection that happens through this creative process that really puts you in this wise woman energy, regardless of your gender. It just puts you in a place of wisdom. It puts you kind of in an energy of like an elder, to a degree, if that makes sense. But I also think this treasure chest we have, like I'm kind of getting the energy of this being like a treasure to somebody. And this kind of, to me, it almost looks like it could be like a heart-centered stone with this red, like I'm almost imagining like someone's beating heart is kind of what's speaking to me here. So I feel like there's like a heart-to-heart connection that can really come from what you make and what you share, and it's just gonna feel like such a treasure to other people, though it can, again, like it might feel vulnerable to you. Like it is kind of like opening like this chest, like opening it up and just like giving, like putting your heart there for others to see. But the power that comes from that within you is just so expansive. All right, let's get one more message for you. Last message for pile number 4. Oh, here we go. Here is your feather. We've got Oriole. A new creative venture is on the horizon. See it as a positive change. Okay, so yeah, you may be open, or I feel like this is one for some of you to be open to a new creative opportunity that might be coming to you. But I also am kind of getting this energy for you that it's like part of your power is not getting ahead of yourself. Like, you don't need to have your entire, like, because for a lot of you, I am kind of seeing you sharing something. But I feel like for you, like, your creative power isn't to have like a whole creative career planned. It might be, but like for most of you, I'm really getting this energy of like, I need to just take it one step at a time. Like, whatever you're making right now is what you're making. You don't need to worry about what you're making next, what you're making 5 years from now, like what any type of career might be. It's just about you showing up honestly in your creative work and in your creative energy and worrying about each creative step one step at a time. So this like energy I'm getting is like you finish something and then there's something new that appears for you. So it's just new creative opportunities just kind of find you. But your job is to stay in the creative moment and not to get too far ahead of yourself. All right, on that note, pile number 4, I'm going to end this reading here. Thank you so much for letting me read for you. If this reading resonated, I would love to know how in the comments. And if you enjoyed this reading, please give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. I would really love to have you in future videos. If you would like a personalized experience, I do have a handful of tarot reading options available for you. They are linked to the description box below. They include live readings. There is also tarot coaching sessions, which are so powerful. And if you are ready to make your dreams come true, you can check out my transformational tarot coaching program, which is built around that philosophy, or that practice of making your dreams come true. And if you happen to be a writer, I do have tarot support for writers. You will find that linked below as well. And if none of that's right for you, but you do want to support the channel, there is a donation link. Donations are never expected, but always appreciated, and they just go to support the growth of the channel. That's all I've got for you today. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you're having a wonderful day or night wherever you are in the world, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.